All right, everyone, we're continuing with Siddhartha Chapter 4. So, Siddhartha just said that he was shedding something off of him like a snake sheds its skin. And that thing was the desire, he was shedding the desire to have teachers, the desire to listen to their teachings. He no longer desired to have teachers. He no longer desired to listen to their teachings. He met the best teacher, the Buddha, and he didn't want to follow him either. He realized that he had wanted to get rid of the self. And we talked about the odd thing that he's having a conversation with himself. How can you do that when you're one person? And we talked about that maybe the self is this inward part of you that never changes, that doesn't talk, it is. And that this part of you that's conscious, it's sort of a language area where you can talk with yourself and talk back and forth and see yourself outside. And it's a very strange thing. You have to think about it and comment on it. But he says that he wants to get to know, he's been running from himself, and he doesn't want to run from himself at all. Who is he? He's the only one that can feel his feelings, and yet he knows very little about himself. Let's keep reading. The thinker, slowly going his way, suddenly stood still. Who's the thinker? Siddhartha. Suddenly stood still, gripped by this thought. And another thought immediately arose from this one. So he's slowly going on his way. He suddenly stands still. Why? Because he was gripped by this thought, like the thought was gripping him. And another thought immediately arose from that one. It was, the reason why I do not know anything about myself, the reason why Siddhartha has remained alien and unknown to myself, is due to one thing, to one single thing. I was afraid of myself. I was fleeing myself. I was seeking Brahman, Atman. I wished to destroy myself, to get away from myself, in order to find the unknown innermost, the Atman, the nucleus of all things. A nucleus is in an atom, that we're all made up of atoms. The nucleus is the part in the middle that holds, the part in the middle, and then the, the nucleus, and then the neutrons or protons go around it. You'd have to tell me. Protons and neutrons, I think. Also, within an egg, the yolk would be the nucleus. So I was seeking Brahman, Atman. I wished to destroy myself, to get away from myself, in order to find the unknown innermost, the nucleus of all things. Atman, life, the divine, the absolute. But by doing so, I lost myself on the way. So, Siddhartha has been a priest all of his life. He learned that Brahman is the true nature of the world, the truth of the world. And he even sought to almost destroy his body by being a samana, by not eating, by learning all these ways of the ascetic. Then he learned from the Buddha, but he realized at the end of it, he still had himself. And that he was running from himself. And by trying to find Atman, he had lost his way. He had become lost. Siddhartha looked up and around him. A smile crept over his face. That means it slowly came. Slowly a smile came. A smile crept over his face. These are really good phrases that you can use. Oh man, something crept up on me yesterday. You can use these words. Try them out. A smile crept over his face, and a strong feeling of awakening from a long dream spread right through his being. Spread through his being. What spread through his being? The strong feeling of awakening from a long dream spread through his being. Immediately he walked on again, quickly, like a man who knows what he has to do. Like a man who knows what he has to do. Not a man who knows what he has to do, but he's similar to a man who knows what he has to do. Yes, he thought, breathing deeply. I will no longer try to escape from Siddhartha. So he's going to do something different. He's not going to try to escape from himself. I will no longer devote my thoughts to Atman and the sorrows of the world. Wow. Quite different from the Buddha, huh? I will no longer mutilate and destroy myself in order to find the secret behind the ruins. Mutilate means to cut and gouge. If you get cut all over, you've mutilated your body. Some people like to cut themselves, and that's mutilating. So by starving himself, he was mutilating the body. He was trying to get rid of this body to get beyond it in order to find the truth. That his body was like ruins. What are ruins? When a castle is old and it's fallen apart and all you have is just some walls and grasses growing up, those are called ruins. So he was trying to destroy himself like a castle, destroying himself, and find a secret behind the ruins of himself once he was destroyed. I will no longer study Yoga Veda, Atharva Veda, these are the religious books, or asceticism, being a monk, or any other teachings. I will learn from myself, be my own pupil, be my own student. I will learn from myself the secret of Siddhartha. He's going to learn the secret of who he is. Kind of strange, huh? It's a Western view, maybe. I don't know. You tell me. Is it a Western view of this? Be interesting to think about it. I don't think there's hard and fast rules between what's Western, what's Eastern, what's Indian, what's Japanese. Who knows? But deal with this. See what you think. Are you horrified by this? Okay. He looked around him as if seeing the world for the first time. If you get a chance, you should see the movie Interview with a Vampire or read the book. It's an awesome book, It's about a vampire, And when he becomes a vampire, he sees with new eyes. He sees the world with new eyes. Statues move. Everything's mysterious. In a way, that's here as well. Also, often in biblical views or, in the Quran and everything, when people see the truth, they see the world differently, right? Okay, so he looked around him as if seeing the world for the first time. The world was beautiful, strange, and mysterious. Remember, he hated the world before. The world was beautiful, strange, and mysterious. Here was blue, the color. Here's yellow. Maybe on a flower. Here was green. Where would we find green? The grass, the trees, right? Sky, river, woods, mountains. Woods are the forest. We call it the woods. Mountains, all beautiful, all mysterious and enchanting, magical. And in the midst of it, around it, and in the middle of it, in the midst of it, he, Siddhartha, the awakened one, on the way to himself. There's no verb there. Okay, so it's kind of a strange statement. He, Siddhartha, the awakened one, on the way to himself. He, Siddhartha, the awakened one, is on the way to himself, standing there, on the way to himself, journeying to himself. Strange, huh? All this yellow and blue, river and wood, passed for the first time across Siddhartha's eyes. He's seeing it all new again. It was no longer the magic of Mara. Mara is like the devil, showing you magic to make you go on the wrong path. He's tempting you with the world. He's tempting you with the world. Siddhartha's saying, no longer do I believe that this is the devil trying to tempt me into believing that this is the world that I need to be with. No longer. It was no longer the veil of Maya. Maya is illusion. You know, this illusion around me. This isn't real. Not necessarily that it's evil, it just isn't real. So it's no longer the magic of Mara trying to tempt me. It's no longer the veil of Maya, no longer illusion. It was no longer meaningless. And the chance diversities of the appearances of the world, despised by deep-thinking Brahmins, who scorned diversity, who sought unity. Okay, this is a strange sentence. It's not a sentence that you would write, okay? So the world is full of diversity, and it's full of new magic for him, right? Why is it new? Because he was taught since he was young, this world is an illusion. It's a trap to trap you from reaching the truth. The truth is beyond this world. Maybe you come from a background like this. My family background, my ancestors were Amish. The Amish are people that right now do not live with electricity. They believe that the world is evil and that they should not be part of it, and they should just farm and be with their families and love Jesus. And then after they die, they will hopefully be in heaven with him. So that's an extreme, right? Many people come from backgrounds where they're taught the world is bad. You know, that's what Siddhartha comes from, and right now he's saying, I don't believe that anymore. Okay, so deep-thinking Brahmins didn't like diversity, didn't like difference. They were seeking the one unified thing. And now he's saying, what about all the diversity? Maybe the diversity is good. He's not thinking diversity like we hear today, you know, like, but it is, in a way, it is like we hear today, that all these differences are good. Okay? This is hard, that's why I'm going slow. River was river. This is a hard one here. River is river, and if the one, Brahman, and divine in Siddhartha, Atman, secretly lived in blue and river, it was just the divine art and intention that there should be yellow and blue, sky and wood, and here's Siddhartha. That all this diversity should be here, that God is in all of those things. And even in Siddhartha, who's separate from these and looking at them. All of this diversity, not oneness, but many. Remember, Atman was about oneness. Meaning and reality were not hidden somewhere behind things. They were in them, in all of them. That is quite a different philosophy, isn't it? The one was that there was oneness, the Brahman and Atman, and that these were one, and that the world hid this from us, hid this unity. And now he's saying, maybe the beauty is really made for a purpose, and truth is in the beauty of the flower, of the river, of the mountain. They're not supposed to disappear. This is quite interesting. It's almost like, from my perspective, I come from a background, again, where we were Protestant Christians, and we believe there's only one way to be. When you go to India, all of a sudden there's 1,000 ways to be. There's so much diversity, and in many countries there's so much diversity, and it can be quite overwhelming because you can't make sense of it. But Siddhartha is realizing, just as I can't make sense of myself, but I am here and I matter, so the world matters even though I can't make sense of it. It's so diverse. You can't understand it. It is beautiful, I am beautiful. There's truth in both. It's not hidden behind it. Okay? It's hard. Tell me what you think. Make sure to comment. Okay? Let's see where we're at. I think I've gone on for a long time. I'm going to stop here. I'm sorry that we're going so slow. This is a short chapter, and we want to understand what Siddhartha is saying. He's making a break with his past. Okay? And in the next part, he's really going to get into this. Okay? So I'll see you next time. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share this with someone so that you can talk about it with them and comment. And then see us on RJK English. Make a comment and let's talk further about this. Okay? See you next time.